All right, how you guys doing? This is a good fire channel, and I wanted to talk today about Australia and what's going on in Australia. I mean, it's just a complete mess. You've probably heard things. It just doesn't seem like it's getting too much attention in the media. I mean, I see a few short stories here and there, but it's just an absolute mess. There's just riots and everything. Just wanted to start with this article. Australia suffers its worst day of COVID-19 pandemic as anti-lockdown protests flare. And we'll start with this. This is an article from CNN. And thousands of protesters defied coronavirus lockdowns to hit the streets of Australia's largest city on Saturday, as the country recorded its highest single-day caseload since the pandemic began. The state of New South Wales, home to Australia's most populous city, Sydney and Victoria, reported a total of 886 infections Saturday amid a raging outbreak of the Delta variant. Of course, hundreds of unmasked protesters were seen marching through Melbourne's central business district before confronting police hours after a snap lockdown was announced for the entire state of Victoria, and 6 officers were hospitalized in the protest, excuse me, suffering suspected broken noses, a broken thumb, and concussions, police said in a statement. Police used pepper ball rounds and pepper spray against some members of the crowd, estimated to be more than 4,000 strong. Hundreds of fines were handed out for breaching health ordinances, and 218 were arrested, including 3 for assaulting officers, Victoria Police said. At Sydney's protest, 1 officer was treated for head and neck injuries, and 47 people were arrested, NSW Police said. So this was August 23rd. This stuff was going on. I mean, it's been a couple weeks ago, but this stuff was flaring up. It was just boiling over. They're calling they're trying these draconian lockdowns, and the people are reacting and having this reaction and refusing. They're being told that they can't even talk to their neighbors. This is the stuff that's going on. These people were in the streets protesting that. A lot of them peacefully, but some are, it's kind of gotten out of hand. And these people who are in the streets are labeled terrorists. And I mean, they're just demonized. And the police force has just been absolutely brutal. I mean, I've just seen story after story of police treatment, horrible police treatment. When we move over, this is the New York Times, or I'm sorry, the New York Post. Even they say Australia's insane COVID rules are a warning to the rest of the free world. And I'll get into this a little bit. The 18th century philosopher Jeremy Bentham came up with the idea of the panopticon, a prison designed to allow all the prisoners to be observed by one guard. It just kind of opens up with a reference to this philosopher's idea of a surveillance state. And it says, at the start of the pandemic, Australia is determined to squeeze out COVID with lockdowns. They basically just have a zero tolerance policy for COVID. This is what sparked this. I mean, from the very beginning, it was just, if we hear about 1 or 2 cases in a state or in the entire continent, they go into lockdowns. That's what caused the lockdown. It was maybe like a handful of cases, if that. I think it was less than that, actually. And just to show you, we were talking about Melbourne, which is sort of in the southeast corner down here. This is one of the major cities. It's in the state of Victoria down here. And Sydney is right up the coast a little way. We've got Brisbane up here, but this is where the hotbed of they're calling it a hotbed, but it's only been a few COVID cases. It's only been a few. So this is where the hotbed is happening. I mean, just to give you an idea, we've got Perth over here. I haven't heard much off the top of my head about what's going on over here, but it seems to be prevalent in all major cities, just to give you an idea. But Victoria and Sydney are the hotspot for these riots and for where these draconian lockdowns are taking place. But I also, just to give you an idea where that is. And there's another interesting thing that I don't see anyone really talking about is that in Victoria, they are now talking about, they're not talking about it. They're building them. They're building them as we speak. These are, quarantine cabins and they're being advertised as luxury getaway cabins for your, quarantining pleasure or whatever, quarantining convenience. They're going to send you, if you're infected or you test positive, to these places, and family members or anybody that's been exposed, and they're just going to fill. They're building these gigantic. I had this. I'm going to have to find it. I'll do it in a later video. I want to do a video on the layout of these things, but they hold thousands, at least 1,000 or a couple thousand people, and they have fences and they're completely guarded. The entrances are guarded. You can't get in or out without permission from a guard, and they're being built. They started being built on August 12th. I believe that they're going to be, look at this. When the quarantine continuing to be a critical part of the Australian response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Victorian and Australian governments have committed to building a purpose-built quarantine accommodation hub outside Melbourne CBD to combat and protect the community from the highly infectious COVID-19 virus. This commitment followed the development of a business case by the Victorian government, which was submitted to the Australian government. Yeah, you get the idea. The master plan for the new hub includes dedicated on-site services, including catering that is tailored to be delivered alongside strong infection control and prevention measures. The first stage of the hub will provide 500 beds, with a second stage doubling capacity shorter time. It is also designed with the ability to increase to up to 3,000 beds as part of the scalable build of a larger facility is determined to be required at any point. A new hub will be designed with relocatable cabins so that it can be utilized ongoing. It sounds like internment camps to me. This is pretty freaky. And I just wanted to point out that they're working on them now, but it's going to be, it started in September of 21, late August, September 21, and it's going to be done in early 22. It's just kind of freaky. But look up this. It's Victorian Quarantine Hub .au, I think. Yeah. And I wanted to get into really quick. There's also another article. This is from Australian medical professionals, the medical team. You should not talk to your neighbor. They're discouraging. They're putting this out here. The government is pushing this narrative. They don't even want you talking to people in public. You go to the store, you go shopping. I think you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to go a few miles away from your house, and you are not allowed to stop and talk to people. And especially you have to have the mask on, all that stuff. This just screams compliance and just control. It's got it written all over it, in my opinion. But how much more controlling and crazy can a government get when you have not seen the worst of it yet? When I first saw this report, I thought there must be a tremendous amount of deaths occurring. The Daily Caller reported what is going on in the country. And I think, I'm sorry. And to top it all off, this is the kicker. This is what I wanted to mention. This is why I almost forgot this. All this is happening in Australia. All this rigid, crazy stuff. And there have been how many people have died from corona in Australia? What are the numbers? We hear about thousands every year. 9 at the time of this report. This is from September. 9 deaths made the government to move decontamination tents outside of people's homes, and it did not stop. This is an overreaction if I've ever seen one. But I didn't want to take up too much time. I did want to get to this. Just to throw this out here. I wanted to make this a quick video, but it seems that Australia and China are very closely tied economically, and China has a ton of leverage. And and they are implicated in a lot of this stuff, and there are a lot of people talking about these things. But just to throw this out there, I think that this economic pressure, this leverage that they're applying could have a lot to do with basically communist China. They want to create a technocracy, and they've got their tentacles buried deeply into the Australian infrastructure and political systems. But thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you.